In the shadow of the Cape Lookout Lighthouse lies Shackleford Banks, a 9-mile island covered with scrub trees, seagrass, and sand dunes. But its inhabitants make it one of the most popular places for visitors. The wild horses of Shackleford Banks have roamed this island for centuries, descendants of Spanish horses that arrived by way of ranches in Hispaniola. Today, the horses are part of the living history of the Crystal Coast and can often be seen feeding on the grass flats. Over 100 horses live on the island, and Carolyn Mason heads up the group that looks after them.
Our mission is to protect and ensure that the Shackleford horses continue on into the future.
With the help of a dedicated group of volunteers and researchers, the horses live today much as they have for the past 400 years.
They are pretty much the ultimate survivors. On the island, they're managed as a wild herd, and both we and the Park Service tend to leave them alone as much as possible. The same law that protects the horses limits the number of horses that can be on the island, and so periodically we will remove horses with the help of the geneticists. And then it's our job to teach them to eat, to try to get them tame enough to lead and be handled, and to look for good adoptive homes for them.
Every horse on the island has a story, and Carolyn was happy to share one of her favorites with us.
Dogs are allowed on Shackleford, but they're required by federal law to be on a leash. But apparently someone had one that was off. And as herds were coming to a waterhole, a dog ran up barking, and all the horses turned around and ran, and this baby tripped and just slid down the edge of the waterhole, eating sand and getting it in his eyes as he went down. So I called Anita, who rounded up some mare's milk and baby bottles, and we brought him over and loaded him into the back of my old town car with a tarp and a quilt and a diaper bag, and off to the vet we went. He was fed every 4 hours for about 5 or 6 weeks, which was, and that's around the clock. And grew to be a nice, healthy boy, and he has been adopted by a young lady who is now a veterinarian. We love to adopt him out to vets.
It's easy to imagine Spanish ships arriving, unloading mares and stallions onto the shores of Shackleford Banks. Thanks to the efforts of people like Carolyn Mason, the sight of horses on the shores of the banks is something future generations will get to enjoy.